Good evening, it's Brian at Fitzpatrick's Garage, Dublin Road, Kildare. I want to show you this 1 litre smart Vtec turbo Honda Civic. Brian's my name. For any information you like in this particular car, please give me a call 086 843 1945, or if you come to the garage, just ask for Brian. The garage is located in Kildare town, which is just off the M7 motorway. So we're about 30 minutes south of Dublin. We're between junctions 12 and 13 off the M7. If you want information or directions, just give me a shout 086 843 1945. So back to this really nice car. As we were saying, this is the 1 litre. It's a smart model, it's a Vtec turbo engine, and this is actually the entry model. But I think it's great value for money. On the outside, obvious things that we can see. Everything's colour coded in terms of door handles and wing mirrors. There's a nice chrome surround around the window over here. If you look at the front, it's got the big bold black front grille. That's standard in all the Civics. And these are a 16-inch polished alloy wheel. So what I mean by that is, if we look at the wheel closely, it's got a nice reflective finish, so basically lights or sunlight or anything like that, it reflects quite nicely off this particular surface. And then the centre area has a black insert which basically makes brake dust less visible. As we can see from the front, it's a really striking looking car. On the headlights, on the peripheral areas, we can see daytime runners are standard. Headlights are automated and they're double optics. We've got a full light in here and a dip light in through here as well, with an indicator recessed through there. When it gets dark at night time, the headlights will automatically illuminate. On this nice grille section here, parking sensors are standard on the front of the car, and there's this big sensor panel which I'll explain better once we're looking at the other features inside of the car. Parking sensors are also standard on the rear of this car too. The taillights are composed of a really nice dual LED setup. So if we look at the lights, it splits up along through here and around through there. At night time it makes a very distinctive rear end on the car, where we see the two C functions, like the shape of the C in the Civic, and the big area through here for the number plate. It looks really well at night time. On the boot lid, there's a rear spoiler, as standard. And standard also is this high top mounted spoiler. Both spoilers are aesthetically pleasing, but they also function to increase fuel efficiency by reducing airflow drag. So as we can see so far, there's quite a good specification on the car, and this is actually the entry model. It's really good value for money. If you consult the site www.hondacentre.ie or fitzpatricksgarages.ie, you'll see the exact prices on it, or else give me a call 086 843 1945. Moving inside the boot of the car, it's a very large boot, and it's actually bigger than the previous model as well. It's got this useful lower section down through here, which can be used to house a spare wheel or for extra goods in the boot of the car. The back shelf is twofold. In this case, it's easily deployed or retracted, and the other section of it is attached to the boot up here. So when you close down the bootlet, your items are secure in the back of the car as their full privacy. In the rear of the car, on the door card, as you'd expect, child locks for windows, electrics for rear windows, one speaker down below and one tweeter up here to enhance the audio effects of the radio. In terms of size, it's bigger than the previous one, so a lot of people that have come in to look at this car with the previous model have all commented that there's a lot more legroom on this particular model. In the back, we can see 3 head restraints, 3 3-point safety belts, same speaker and tweeter up here on the left hand side, kangaroo pocket in the centre for people who want to store stuff in the back of the car, and the seats are quite easy to fold. Using this lever over here, we can bring the seat upwards or downwards pretty quickly. On the front door card over here, we have electrics for mirrors and front and rear electrics for windows. The seat is adjustable height-wise, back and forwards, and the rear part of the seat obviously reclines. The head restraints also have a function which allows them to come forward, or we can drop them back depending on how you sit in the seat. Similarly, the passenger seat can recline backwards or forwards and move backwards or forwards also, as you'd expect. It's worth mentioning that these cars have an excellent safety rating. All the way down the side of these cars, there are steel bars in the doors for side impact protection. And behind the wheels up front, we have anti-lock brakes, which stop the car from skidding when you put maximum braking pressure on the car, which allows you to keep control over the car while steering under heavy braking. Traction control is also standard on these cars. So basically, if you're at a wet junction and you go to pull out and you get wheel spin, it'll be eliminated using computers. Computers also in the car will move around braking pressure if the rear end of the car gets out of shape, for example on a corner or a wet roundabout. Side airbags are going to be standard, side of the seat airbags will also be standard, and up front then driver and passenger airbags as you'd expect. This car uses the new 1 litre Vtec turbo engine, and it's a really sweet unit. Everyone that's driven the car so far has been really impressed by it. And as this car is running the 16-inch alloy wheels, the road tax is €190. as opposed to the €200 on the 17-inch wheel model. So sitting on the inside of the car, air conditioning is controlled with this very easy to use digital display. Warm, cold with air conditioning, front and rear windscreen demisters, and wing mirrors can also be demisted once we use the rear window demister. In terms of in-car entertainment, there's a 12-volt outlet as well as this USB connector in a tunnel which is housed just underneath the gear knob. Moving up to the radio, simple and straightforward to use, Bluetooth in through here. And the other cool thing as well is the parking sensors also have a radar. So when you're going forward, it'll tell you where exactly the issue is, or similarly when you go backwards. Gears are nice and crisp with a nice short and sporty throw. We have auto stop start function, which will basically stop the car from ticking over in situations where it doesn't need to be using fuel, for example at a traffic light. Econ function, which basically reduces how aggressive our throttle is, how aggressive our cruise control is, and how aggressive our automatic air conditioning is. There's a park brake which is automated, which is very easy to use, just using a finger touch, and that also allows more space in the centre. Small bit of storage in through here with a drinks holder, and after that, radio and heating controls, as we can see, are quite easy to access. Moving over to the dash, so normal key, there's a nice sequence when we start it up, so it's completely digital. Turn over the car, so into the left, temperature, into the right, fuel, and in through the centre there, revolution counter. Up through there, using the information button along through here, we can manipulate information such as how much fuel we're using,